So if we look at jobs in South Africa at the moment, with sluggish economic growth, there's a possibility that some sectors are going to downscale to minimize their risk. Does that mean there are going to be more people who are suddenly going to look to the state for grants? And if so, what impact does that have on politics?
I think that's certainly true. With South Africa, we're very unusual. We have a huge social assistance system. Social assistance meaning the non-contributory grants like the old age pension, a child support grant, disability grant, that you access on the basis of your age, have a child, you're disabled, not because you've paid into a social security fund in the past. So we have a huge system. We have 15, 16 million people getting grants every month, which is a quarter of the population. No other country in the world, I think, comes close to that. We redistribute 3.5% of GDP to these social grants. It's an enormous sum. But we know we've really got to the limit, I think, of what can be done easily. All of the research in South Africa suggests that most South Africans are not happy with the idea that you should pay young men something for nothing. That just because somebody's unemployed, you should give them some kind of income support. Most South Africans are uncomfortable with that idea. They think, no, people should actually earn it. Right? It's okay if you're elderly, if you're disabled, if you're a mother with children and you need to bring up the children, feed them properly, that's okay. But don't give young men or young women something for nothing. So politically, there are huge obstacles to expanding the grant system to cover the huge number of unemployed young men and young women who have no earnings. Right? So there's a problem there. I don't think it's a problem's quite as bad. It's not a complete problem, not a complete obstacle, because there are some groups of people who I think the grant system could usefully be expanded to. So for example, in rural areas, there are many unskilled men and women in their 50s who are too young to access the old age pension. You have to be 60 to get the old age pension. They're too young to access the old age pension, but they don't have skills, they don't have jobs, there's no demand for their work, their labour, and they're never going to be employed. They're just waiting until they're old enough at the age of 60 to get the pension. Now, I look at that and I say, these are people who have had hard and tough lives, and I think that the government could certainly be thinking about reducing the age of eligibility for the old age pension in rural areas, particularly in rural areas, to below the age of 60. I mean, I think they could seriously be thinking about the age of 50. The idea that 50-year-olds should be out looking for non-existent jobs as manual workers is crazy. The government should be thinking about reducing the old age pension, and I think that the research suggests that would not be unpopular. So that kind of tweaking in the edge of the grant system could have a significant effect, particularly in rural areas, and I think would be an important tool in reducing poverty.
Yeah. We're in a municipal election year. Today, in fact, in the NCOP, the Deputy President is speaking about a national minimum wage as it happens. What currency do these policies have in discourse in Parliament and in implementation in the year where people are going to vote for their municipal governments?
Right. Well, maybe I can answer that in two ways, Erin. Firstly, a lot of the demand for minimum wages is coming from workers, formerly employed workers, who think that they're paid less than they should, often trade union members in a variety of sectors, including mining. We know that in the mining sector, there's demands, the minimum wage should be 12,000, 12,500, 15,000 rand a month. Now, I think that's an argument for trade unions to be more active and energetic in their collective bargaining over wages, but it's not an argument for the state to come in. Right? I think that it's a mistake to think that the wages in unionised sectors should be governed primarily by the state. They should be primarily governed through the collective bargaining procedures of unions and employers bargaining collectively. And so a lot of the political momentum, a lot of the political support for the high national minimum wage is actually coming from groups of workers who I think are mistaken to think that it's really the right tool for their problem. If you're a mine worker, you think that you're paid too little, the CEO of your company is paid too much, join your union, fight through your union, go on strike, Do all of the things that labour legislation allows, strike action, collective bargaining, deal with your wage, deal with inequality in a sector in that way.